Hey, Facebook and YouTube and Facebook and YouTube and Facebook. That's not just me repeating. We're actually broadcasting to 5 stations today. So I'm excited. Let me just unlock this on my edit privacy, go public, done. There we go. Hey, Facebook, how are you? And YouTube, it's good to have you all. I hope you're having an amazing Friday. I had a wonderful Friday morning. I did a little presentation on the Formula C. Clarify, qualify, CQCE. I don't know why I've been doing it for years, but clarify, qualify, create expectation. And I had a lot of fun doing it. It was amazing. We spent about 45 minutes, and you'll probably see a link on my page to go down and take a look at it. There's no upsell. There's no push to anything else. If you want to get more information, I do tell you how to get to my website, SeanGMurphy.com. But it's an hour and 2 minutes of just pretty good training. So I'm so amazed. I'm so blessed. I've got Daniela Jukic with me here today. See, did I say your last name?
Yes.
I said your last name right. I've been practicing it for like 6 years. And we're going to have a little conversation today. Actually, she kind of asked me, she said, can I interview you? I'm like, about what? What do I know? That anyway, so that's kind of the conversation. I'll tell you a little bit about this young lady, a mom, comes with a very strong heritage background, kind of first generation here in the States. First born here. No, you weren't even born here. You're still
first generation.
No, you're still immigrant. How cool. Yeah, it just hit me. Strong Bosnian background and amazing family, incredible mom, wildly successful business entrepreneur, and I get to fall in love with these kinds of individuals because birds of a feather flock together. So she's just this amazing soul from Ohio. It's a little chilly up there, and she was down here this past weekend for the Rank Makers event. We got to know each other a little bit more and had some neat conversations, and now we're doing a little interview. Kind of a one-on-one conversation. So how you doing, Daniela?
I'm doing fabulous. I've had an amazing day today, but
you see, I kept talking so that I would actually keep her from asking me the questions. So
yeah, nice try. No, but today I stepped out of my own comfort zone and I posted a video of something that I do in the car. And am I echoing?
No, I don't hear you. I mean, you sound good to me.
Okay. Maybe it's just on my side. But for the first time, it's usually Rhonda that's posting these videos of me doing crazy things in the car. And today I finally stepped out of my own comfort zone and I was like, yes, I'm going to post it. And I was proud. So thank you for that. I borrowed your courage and Rhonda's courage to post that up. So my first question for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Insert evil laugh here.
So my first question for you, Sean, is what turned inside you that you decided to take time, not only away from your family, but time away from everything that you have going on in your life to start the Daily Awakening calls, to put more education out to people like me?
So the big reason was I got pissed off. I got tired of watching people who were claiming to be trainers and could barely get themselves out of a paper bag. I was tired of seeing trainers who had years of experience still locking people in their minds by saying you can do it, by speaking from a 3% mindset to a 97% educational brain, meaning they're in the 97% group and they need to cross over. But sometimes too many people forget that switch, that crossover moment when they went from the 97% to the 3% to the moment where somebody says, if somebody ever utters these words, listen, you can do it. Just do it. If I could do it, you could do it. And that I know it's phrases. I use it. I still use it today. And the challenge is that I realized if you say I can do it, you can do it, then you should be there to help them through it. And that's what I started the morning calls. I was so mad one afternoon. I did a live December 18th, 2000 and what is it? 3 years ago, 2018. And I said, that's it. I'm not, I was shaking. And I said, tomorrow morning, I'm starting live at 6:30 in the morning called Get Out of Your Effing Way. And I don't know. I'm just going to do it. And here's the link. And 16 people showed up. 16 friends showed up. Right? The size of your net worth is determined by the size of your network. And these 16 friends stuck with me. They gave me the courage to go do it, because you mean a fence post if nobody showed up? I don't know if I'd have had the chutzpah to go for day 2. But now today was episode 603 that we've done. And it's because people like you show up. You ask brilliant questions. You get out of your effing way, your fearful way, your frightened way, your frustrated way, your fatigued way, and you show up and you do the activities. So that gives me the courage to keep going.
I love that. So I've noticed that on the Daily Awakening calls, you don't just mentor when it comes to business. We also do a lot of self-development. Now, I know as well that you have pissed off, in other words, have pissed off a lot of people by the things that you do on these awakening calls. Now, what is it that keeps you going and not pulling back from getting those calls and stating like, hey, I don't know why you're doing this for free when everybody else is charging it?
So here's a couple of things. I think it was Dean Graziosi said, if you want to eliminate your competition, give away what they're charging for. So maybe it was Tony Robbins. It was somebody smarter than me, that's for sure. And listen, I'm not good at a lot of things. There's a lot of things I'm not good at. The thing that I'm good at here, Kyle Wilson, who I'm part of his mastermind for the last 6 years. And if you don't know Kyle is Jim Rohn's business partner for 18 years. As far as who spent the most time with Jim Rohn, the living human being who spent the most time with him, it's probably Kyle Wilson. Most time on stage, Larry Thompson. But when I heard these things is that go do what you do well. Get them to your secret sauce. And my secret sauce is I have an innate ability to mind read, to see somebody's genuine inflections in their body and in their tone, and understand where their hiccup is, where their block is, and able to go in and help them, not me, help them. They wind up being able to take a sledgehammer to it. So I get, because most people aren't working on that. They're working on the 7% side of this business. They're teaching people scripts. They're teaching people words, and they do great at it. They make millions of dollars at it. All I know is that our industry still has an 80% failure rate. Now, we can say it's the 80%ers who don't really want to go out and do a whole lot of. I don't know anybody who wants to give away their time for payment.
Mm-mm.
I understand we want to donate to charities. We want to donate to businesses. We'd rather give $100 than 100 hours. In this profession, this is a profession. Now, there's people who just want to use the product. That I get. Those are the people. Those aren't a failure. It's the other people who complain about our profession who say, it doesn't work. My upline didn't support me. My company didn't support me. Is it fair to say possibly, maybe you didn't support you? And that's the part I just go all in on. And I've spent 30 years doing it. So the reason I can give it away is because I'm only giving you the tip of the iceberg. I've had some deep conversations with people offline, and they go, oh my gosh, I knew there was more. I didn't know there was that much more. And that was in an hour conversation. And we still just scratched the tip of the iceberg. This is about personal undevelopment. If every self-help book worked, then why do we have to keep reading it? Because we have to digest it. Our food stays with us longer than the information we get out of some of our books. because many people are wanting to put a check mark in success, saying they've done so many different things, that they've read so many books. That doesn't serve you right now. So that's why people get mad at me and go, why do you keep giving this stuff away? I go, I'm not giving it away. This isn't for me to even give away. This is general knowledge. It's general knowledge. But yet it's kind of like pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals can't charge for natural products because there's no way to patent it. There's things I do that are unique to me, but the information I share is general knowledge. It can't be patented, shouldn't be charged for. So that's why they get mad at me.
So Sean, you mentioned secret sauce.
Yes.
So I was part of season 1. I'm part of season 2. Now, my question to that, finding your secret sauce.
Yeah.
Can you go a little bit deeper into what actually secret sauce stands for? What it is that we are looking for?
Well, when the CEO, and she didn't reference me, let me first throw that caveat out, but when Jamie Lima Kern says that, who is the first female CEO for Estee Lauder, sold her company for $1.3 billion cash. She got about 500 million of that. When she says in a post recently about needing to really dive into you, to do some personal introspection so you can find your secret sauce, or so that your secret sauce doesn't get diluted. I think what she's meaning by that is that thing that allows a mom to stand in the face of fear, protecting her child, protecting her family. That's your secret sauce. When a dad stands in face of sheer absolute fear and determination to protect their family, that's secret sauce. We call it courage. Yet we don't seem to have to muster that up when we're posting on social media to go have a conversation with somebody. When we post on social media to say, oh, here's what I'm doing. If you'd like, reach out to me. That's not courage. That's trying to come up with a slick script that's going to get somebody to click a like. And I was just listening to an audio training that I did earlier. Nobody's going to be at your funeral. God forbid. I hope you live 100 happy years additional from today. But nobody's going to be at your funeral giving a eulogy going, and we'd like to also thank the 74,000 Twitter fans they had. Man, they really did a great job getting 74,000 Twitter fans. That's not your secret sauce. Your secret sauce is when you can stand in your place that you've been given right now. Life happens for you, not to you. And you understand that the next thing you're about to do is going to serve you for a legacy, not a lunchtime. If you're not operating from a legacy-based conversation whenever you open your cake hole, you're not operating from your secret sauce. You're operating from somebody else's sauce bowl. And what's that phrase they say? You're either working on your goal or somebody else's. When you get to your secret sauce, you can work on yours no matter where you're working. So that's the secret sauce. It's that core center where you know that you know that you know that you know.
Well, thank you. I love being part of Secret Sauce. So my opinion is also a little biased because I'm there. Aw, thank you. My next
Joanna's awesome. She's on the morning calls. She's this amazing soul who's just there every single day, and the comments she shares and the wisdom she shares, it's just and I would have never met her had it not been for this amazing profession of MLM, me loving more.
Yeah. I would have never met you and Rhonda if it wasn't for it.
Yep.
I mean,
Look at me.
Look at me. Like, I have to be nice. This is me interviewing you. But I mean, no, I'm just kidding. So Sean, you share a lot of your friends with us.
Yes.
And I just yesterday listened to half the interview with Les Brown. And as I told you in our group message, I was completely blown away of the flow of how you asking questions and him answering, and it just all went so smoothly that it didn't even feel like you were interviewing him, or you were not, it didn't even feel like that. Now,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask your
Go ahead, Karen. Go ahead.
No, so you're gonna. I think maybe I was jumping the gun. You were gonna ask why did it flow so effortlessly?
That, yes. And I was going to ask, what is it that is inside you that kind of goes, I think they need to get closer to this person, or this person needs to be on the daily awakening for this day?
It's that thing. You're never a prophet in your own land. And listen, I've done 602 shows, 603 shows today. There's 26 letters in the alphabet. I didn't make none of them up. Everything I got's borrowed. And I want to be able to share with people some of the people who have influenced me. And some of them are just new people I've met inside of our masterminds with Kyle Wilson or some other folks who I'm masterminding with. And I'm like, dude, you swam the English Channel 3 times. Now I know he's got some history in Herbalife for years. And so when I know somebody who's got legacy in particular companies, there's a certain DNA that runs through them. So I knew that there's just this amazing soul of caring and sharing in the wellness industry. And you don't do something for 22 years going, you know what, I don't really like this. So I know he loves the profession. Yet when you get to have a conversation with somebody who swam the English Channel 3 times, I mean, that's pretty amazing. And the hardest one was the one I would have thought would have been the simplest one, the relay. So when these things go through my head, it's like, okay, I would have never thought the relay would have been the hardest one. But soon as they explained it, I'm like, you got to share that story with everybody. Because we think team is the easiest way. Sometimes team causes us we've got to suffer through some more things because we rely too much on the team. So it's things like that. When I get to bring you Mark Aceta, one of the top trainers in the industry, the edutainment trainers, right? Some education and entertainment. Amazing soul. He blew everybody away. Les Brown, of course. You've got Paul Hoffensberger, and you got Jeanette Ortega, and it's amazing. Coach A.M. Williams. All of these people, they've got a neat take on life that I think it's important that people hear it. Listen, one of the things my mentor taught me is, don't isolate. Don't isolate. Insulate. Give people exposure to the outside world. And if they don't come back, then you weren't their cup of tea. But if they do come back, keep continuing to bring them things that they can sharpen their own saws on. They can sharpen their own skills on. So that's why I love bringing folks in and sharing conversations with people.
I absolutely love it, because we get to meet so many different people, and they simplify so many things that if I was talking to anybody else, I know from my previous places that I've worked in, it's all these big words and you're like, yeah, I understand. Yes. Where everything is so, it's what you need, but it's in a simple way where you can understand.
It's fundamental. And the other thing is that they know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, so they got to keep it simple when they're talking to me.
Yeah.
Next question, please.
You're throwing me off my questions. My next question for you is your patience. Where? Because I'm not asking how, I'm asking where.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they come from? Because I mean, not just being a mom, I would love to conjure some of those in. So I know a lot of moms out there and a lot of parents, period, would probably asking the same questions. Patience is a virtue. Yes, I understand. But sometimes, and I know you have a lot of them, and I've seen it and I've witnessed it. And I've always wondered where from?
So I was probably 22 years old, and I was listening to a tape, a cassette tape. That tells you how old I am. And it was called Beyond Zero Point. And in that was a conversation I heard Greg Braden, who's done his own specials on Gaia and a variety of things. But back then he was cutting his teeth, if you will. And he was part of an audio series. And one of the things he talked about was, if I were to take some of your DNA and put that over here and read it, hook it up to EEGs, EKGs, and all that stuff, and I were to show you funny films and scary films, your body changes. You get scared, you laugh, you cry, you sing, you dance, but instantly in this DNA right over here, it changed as well. And I went, really? Come on. Now I'm, like I say, I'm in my 20s. And I'm like, and he said there's white papers. Now remember, I didn't go to university. I barely made it through high school, drove by a lot of colleges. I understood what a white paper was from running businesses. So I looked up these white papers, and sure enough, they're scientific white papers that say that the time and space in between, Einstein called it spooky theory at a distance. We now call it quantum entanglement. Once electrons are ever in rotation with each other. I don't even think we had quantum entanglement 20 years ago. Maybe we did. Not in the words I was able to hear. So now all of a sudden I realized, I said, wait a minute. Because I have tendencies of my father and I have tendencies of my mother. How did I get those? It's because half of their DNA resides in me. I said, so if my DNA changes when it leaves my body, the instant that it changes in my physical body, whatever has left my body, I went, if I have a child, now remember, I'm in my 20s. I didn't get married for another 15 years. If I'm blessed with a child, half of my DNA is going to be in it. And if I have a bad day, he or she could have a bad day. I got to get to work on being able to control my days. And that's where that comes from. When our house was destroyed in 2004 and Mason was getting earaches all the time, to the day, Michelle and I can show that our energy was causing his physical discomfort, because the day he was scheduled for surgery in a week to put tubes in his ears, the day we said, we've got to get back to meditation, his body changed. His health changed. And we went in for Tuesday for the pre-op. They said, nothing seems to be wrong. The inflammation's gone. All of the problems are gone. Let's monitor it. And that was 15 years ago. So when you witness these examples and you're like, if it's not going to be important 6 months from now, if you're going to laugh a year from now, why are you waiting a year? Start laughing now. Now, you've seen me blow up. Well, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But I get frustrated, and a level of frustration takes on a variety of shapes, forms, and moments. But Lynn Grabhorn in her book, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, says, if you're going to open that valve, open the damn thing up and go down the rabbit hole and get the hell back out. You're not perfect. You're not vibrating at 1,000. Otherwise, you'd disappear. We have these levels of vibration we go through. And if you can understand you're going to go through those levels, decide where you're going to be. And if you need to vomit that out, then vomit it out. Get it out though, but don't take out only 99% of it. Because at some point your body's going to be 100% frustration. So that's where I get that from.
Oh, I guess I don't like in my heart, like stop it. But I'm working on it. Every day I'm working on it, and less it appears. So I'm blessed for that. So what are some things that you would say to people? Because here, before I ask this question, The background to this question is my social media is blown up over virtual learning and kids being sent home, and they might go back at the end of, at least here by me, they might go back at the end of the month. So that means the kids are only going to be home for 2 weeks. Like even if 2 weeks, which to me, I looked at as a blessing. But I do have to say, I did not look at it as a blessing the first time around.
Right.
Now, what would you say to parents, single moms, single dads, mom and dad, parents all around? What is something that they can either do or work on where their little kitties being at home isn't so frustrating?
The biggest challenge that happened, and I said this back in January, I said, as this thing starts to unfold, and then when March comes along, I said the biggest challenge people are going to have is they've put authority into something they have no authority over. And that's where this frustration comes in. The authority they thought they had was that school was going to be in place. And then instantly that authority changed, and they had no one voted on that. No one got an email going, hey, listen, we've had a couple of kids have COVID and we're going to send everybody home on Monday. And this was a Friday afternoon when you got the email. So the challenge is that when change happens, see, that's change for the good. Can you absolutely see how change for the good pisses people off?
Yeah.
And they don't see it. Now, I can promise you this. The parent whose child was exposed to COVID, or anybody's kids who were around the child who tested positive, they were taking them home hell or high water. So why was it okay for them to absolutely command and demand their children be home, and everybody else's whose kids got sent home? Totally understand that they got to work from home, and it messes up their work life, and everybody's got to start to adjust things. The challenge is that they don't look at the alternative. There's a thing called the law of opposites, and if this is the center, and this is 5 levels of bad, and this is 5 levels of good, 5 levels of bad has to have the exact opposite. And everybody's looking at 5 levels of good. Their kid is home. They know that they're safe. I mean, this is going to sound crash or brash, but God forbid there was somebody who was thinking about doing a shooting, and that got thwarted this week. We don't know. We'll never know. But I can promise you, if all of a sudden the police said, listen, we found some kid, we found some individual who had plans to go to the school your kid was going to, God forbid, last week, God forbid, Monday, to shoot it up, everybody's like, oh, thank God the kids were home. See how that changes it? That's even changed it viscerally in your body. I know it's a sad thing to talk about, but if you really want to change the way you look at things, as Wayne Dyer would say, look at what you have no idea what was avoided. And so why be mad about the good, right? And so what I would suggest is come up with some fun things. Listen, around my house, I say, hey, I love my family. And from the echoes in the house, somebody will respond, I love my family. It's all about a state of being. See, we're worrying about the strategy, right? I don't know where my butt's over there. We're worrying about the strategy. Kids are home. How do we deal with that? How do we do with this? Well, what's the story? Why are the kids home? Because somebody got sick and they wanted to stop the sickness from spreading. Well, what's the state? My kids are safe. They're home. And if it is for 2 weeks, or what if it was for the rest of the year? Can you imagine the stories of joy that you get to see, the laughter, if you decide to look at it that way? So that would be my suggestion.
And I love that. I honestly do love that. And I really didn't realize how connected we really are, from our parents to our grandparents and generations, and our kids to us, until I witnessed it with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah, because you had a niece born.
And I was like, because when I would listen to you in the morning and I would hear those things, I'd be like, The things that were going through my head probably aren't nice to say on live. But
That's the pay-per-view. They get to join your community.
right? How does Rhonda say? Once you get to know her.
Yes.
And the first time that I witnessed how my day affects Mateo's days are, oh, Rhonda, we still love you, was in school. And it was timed to like the second of how my day was going. And when Mateo got his red little check mark, because it tells you what time. And I was like, do I call him and tell him he's right?
You'd be amazed if you did if you tracked it that way. You could instantly there is no time delay.
Because we tested it this past weekend as well.
Yeah. He got a skateboard.
like
you got a what? What did you do?
I was like, oh no, he's right. I just can't. But no, and that makes me want to work on myself even more.
Yeah, and for those people that are listening that don't have the decoder ring, what we're talking about is an instant when Daniela had a negative emotion flow through her body is at the exact same moment that Mateo got a red check, and red check isn't a good check. And then this weekend, when she had this joyous moment of elation flow through her body, I said, call Mateo, see what he's doing right now. Something wonderful happened in his life. And he calls up, he goes, Mom, you won't believe it. I got a skateboard. And she's like, when did you get a skateboard? He says, I just got it. Now, they're 1,000 miles apart. How is it possible? How is it that in order to get a skateboard had to be already en route to the store? She was nowhere near a joyous moment when they were en route to the store. But the second that joy showed up is the second that joy showed up in his life. See, as we go through things, as we go through life, if we went through a life with anticipation as opposed to expectation, man, we would have so much more incredible, amazing things happen. But it's this expectation that breaks our heart. Expectation is asking for a level of certainty. And if you live in certainty and your expectation is so that you can be more, you can be in significance. If you live in expectation and certainty, certainty and significance, you're going to be in pain most of your life. And so as soon as we have these moments that coincide, listen, as a mom, I can only imagine as a mom. I know my love for Mason as a dad, but I watch Michelle and Mason, and there's my connection barely exists. I know it's deep, but compared to a mom, and when Daniela witnessed both of these things, I've watched her. Today, she's had this extraordinarily wonderful day where Fridays are usually a great day, but this one seemed a little bit more extraordinary. When you cross over, all of a sudden people are going to be like, what's going on with you? I get that all the time. But you know how many times people have said, you've lost weight? I go, I must weigh like an ounce. I haven't lost any weight since I last saw you. And every time I see you, you tell me you've lost weight. I've had to lose like 600 pounds for you to notice me. But what they maybe are noticing at a subconscious level, at a subatomic level, is the weight that you've lost of the stress that you've carried. So,
because that weighs more than any amount of weight that you could gain.
Yep.
Like, I had somebody ask me today what was I on? And my answer to them was life. Because the moment that you can realize how important your life really is, and that I know we all say we don't get second chances, but you guys, we really don't get second chances at all. And those little kiddos at home, you don't want to be on virtual learning. Here's my advice to all these mamas out there. If you don't want the kid to be on virtual learning, homeschool them. Have different activities. If they're doing something that's frustrating them, tell the teacher, you can get on that mic. I was on that mic today with his teacher, and I said, he doesn't understand. You got to ask him a different way because he's not understanding the way you're asking him or you're telling him to do something. There's got to be a different way you ask this kid to do something. And I'll pull him out of that room. All right, time for a break. I'll tell your teacher you'll come back. We have to go do something. Now you're under my roof. In school, you're under my roof. And you have that privilege to take your kid out of that stressful situation because they're frustrated. This is something new for them. They have to sit in front of that screen all day long from 8:45 to 2:45.
Yeah. Talk about squirrel.
Right? But I'm just saying, it's your house. It's your home. Pull that kid out of that frustration. Give him an ice cream. Have him run around the house. It's okay.
It's okay.
And Rhonda says the mess around you is proof of your existence. So, hey, let it all go.
And if your heart's beating a little faster, it's because you got a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
Right? So what would be your wrap-up question? You realize we've been talking for 35 minutes?
I know. And I was just going to say, what would be your wrap up for right? You threw it at me. My wrap up question would be, first, I want you to tell everybody how they can join your daily awakening call in the morning.
That's www.dailyawakensean, SEAN.com. That'll take you to the registration page, dailyawakensean.com.
Thank you for that. My wrap-up question for you would be, I don't know. I think you stumped me on this one. You threw me out because I was going to throw the ball right back at you. I'm throwing the ball right back at you.
Okay. And is it my wrap-up question to you?
or wrap-up sentence.
Okay. So here's what we talked about. Personal undevelopment. Every one of you that's listening to this, if you've circled into our time and space, you're a unique soul. You're already caring. You're already sharing. You've been through hell and high water. You've got the scars to prove that you've fought some hellacious battles in your life. I don't know that you need one more training. I don't know that you need one more book to get to the next level, whatever that next simple step is. And that's the step that right now the world is requiring of you to take, you as a leader, you as a mom, you as a parent, to get better, that next better step, right? Because the world right now is really going down one of two paths: get bitter, get better. And if you're on this call, it's because you want to get better. You have this burning passion to get better. I'm going to ask you to undevelop some of your old stories, because right now that's your comfort food. I don't know about you, but when Michelle, it gets cold and I hear hear and smell the chopped meat cooking, I know chili's coming, because that's the comfort food when cold's coming. The challenge is when cold is coming, this winter that we're sitting in right now, there's a comfort story you go to because you know you made it through. As hellacious and as horrible as it was, you know you got through that horrific story, and that's more comforting than stepping into the unknown right now. I'm going to ask you to step forward in faith and not back in fear. Right now, in this moment, today, there's something you have on your calendar to do. You've been pushing off. You've been pushing it back in your journal, and you've been pushing it off in your shelf, reading a book, doing something. I'm going to ask you to reach out to 3 people right now. And you'll be amazed at what will happen when you reach out to those 3 people and say, hey, listen, you're important to me. And if you did it this morning, do 3 more now. That would be my suggestion. Daniela does a call every day, 1:00 Eastern. That's a gratitude call. She goes through the book of the magical book that comes from science, the Secret, right? Mm-hmm. Rhonda Bryan. Mm-hmm. So she goes through this book, 28 days. Today you're on day 16?
Yes.
So today they did day 16. The stories I've been watching in their chat about gratitude, listen, It's a 20-minute call. It's an hour call. It's a 30-minute call. It depends how long the chapter is. But if you want to learn some magic, what's the link for you? It's Gratitude with Daniela.
GratitudeWithDani.com.
Gratitude with Dani, DANI.com. GratitudeWithDani.com. And that would be my suggestion to you. Get on that tomorrow. Don't have to say a thing. You don't get called out like me, and she doesn't get mean at you like I do. So that would be my conversation for you today. I appreciate everybody being here, spending 40 minutes with us. Oh my gosh.
Right?
So here's what I learned and what I liked. I learned that there's a lot inside my noggin. There's 55 years. It's not 50. It's not 1 year, 55 times over. There's 55 years of experience locked up in here. And it's just starting to come out. And what I loved is that I've got people like a Rhonda and a Daniela and a Kayla and a Sharon and a Joanna and a Jessica, who's over in the UK in the hospital with melanoma in her blood and from her hip, and she just absolutely inspirational soul. And I have these people in my life. I have my bride who's healthy, my son who's healthy. You know, I'd say I don't know if life could get any better. I would say for those of you that doubt that, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So I'm Sean Murphy along with
Daniela Jukic.
We'll see y'all where?
At the next event.
At the next event. Thanks, everybody. We love you guys.
I love you.
GratitudeWithDani.com. 1:00 Eastern.